But the other thing is, I have an, I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I already experienced it. The fear is gone, and it's sort of like a nice feeling to know that you don't have this incredible fear that you carry around with you. It's not that I want to die. I'm
Right.
very much happy that I'm alive, and I'm also very grateful. So sometimes, like yesterday, I was thinking, what if I had been swimming when this happened, which I'm often doing?
Mm.
I wouldn't be here, I would have drowned. And now I wouldn't be having this conversation. I would be dead. People would be talking about me. My book would be out there, but I would be gone, you know? And so when you think like that, it kind of makes you appreciate that you are alive, that I am here talking to Sean Kim, that I am able to, I still have my brain here. I'm going to be able to write another book. So confronting death, as I wrote in that chapter, is a good thing. It makes you not so afraid of anything in life. And it also makes you appreciate the things that you constantly took for granted. The view out of my window, the sound of birds in the air, everything and things that sound a little bit cliched and Pollyannish, but they're true. Yeah, I'm alive. I can appreciate them. So, what I wrote about in that chapter is very real. I'm not saying that it's not relevant. It's just, it's a thousand times more real when you go through it.
Yeah, it's an ironic
Very
process. It's an ironic process that we have, especially since it's one of those things that most of us, probably everyone, fear the most, especially when we're nearing death. And it's insane how little prepared we are for facing it, whether it's for ourselves or for others. It's just not something that anyone's going to teach you necessarily, unless it's something that you train yourself to think about, which is something that you're encouraging other people to do. How has it affected the way you see yourself in career wise? Do you feel like you're more ambitious and you're willing to take more risks because you've seen what's on the other side?
Well, I'm not so young anymore. I just turned 61 a couple of weeks ago.
Happy
So,
belated birthday.
huh?
Happy
Oh,
belated birthday.
thank you very much. Um, so, you know, I, I can't be, I know one thing is my next book is dealing a little bit with this experience
Mm.
of facing death. I have a whole philosophy around it that I'm building up in my next book. And I'm very motivated to get this book out and to write it because I know that any day now I could die. I could get the coronavirus tomorrow. I'm a high risk for that because I had the stroke. I could, be hit in my car tomorrow. I could have another stroke. I better get that book out before I die. So it's gotten me more focused on that. And I am working very hard, but I have to be careful because if I work too hard, part of the reason I had the stroke was I worked too hard. I took too much stress on. So I have to be a little bit careful. So
Mm.
it's kind of made me much more focused to get this next book out before I'm dead because I want it to be out there. It's a very important book to me. But some people, it tends to think, well, now that I face this, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't even need to get anything more done. It doesn't have that effect on me because I love my work and I love getting a book out there. But I know that I'm not getting younger and I just have to be more careful with my energy and not let this happen again. So it hasn't curtailed my desire or my ambition. It's just made me a little more careful and not pushing myself too hard.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think just given everything with Corona and all the news that we're hearing, I think people around the world are thinking more about death. And I think, hopefully, the lesson here is that you can you can die doing what you love, but it would be worse if you died without doing what you
Yeah,
didn't love.
very much so, very much so. Yeah, I mean, I make that point in my prior book, Mastery. I talk about Leonardo da Vinci as sort of the icon of that book. And he had a quote, he was on his deathbed, basically saying, just like at the end of a day when you've worked really hard, you have kind of a blessed sleep. If you've worked hard your whole life and got things done that you wanted to do, you have a blessed death. It's like going to sleep after a hard day's work. I'm ready to give up my life because I've accomplished things. I've done what I wanted to do. So that's so for if you're younger, it's a wake up call. And I make that point in that chapter. You tend to think, I've got this incredible vista of time ahead of me. I've got 40, 50, 60, 70 years. I can waste some time here and there. Yeah, it's okay to waste some time, but you probably don't have as much time as you think, and you could die tomorrow very easily. So knowing that, knowing that you could be taken away from you in 5 or 10 or 20 years, do you want to die not having done any of those things that you dreamed of doing, not experiencing those things that you wanted to experience, not accomplishing those things that you set out that you dreamed of when you were younger? You didn't write that book, you didn't start that business, you didn't make that film, you didn't start that podcast, etc. That's the worst feeling in the world, to be facing death in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and to realize I didn't do anything that I wanted to do, and now it's too late. I don't want you to have that feeling. So, you know, confronting your mortality is not a morbid thing. It doesn't mean thinking only about death. It's not like a goth kind of thing. It's more about developing a sense of urgency that each day could be your last day, and you better appreciate it. You better work as hard as you can and get things done, and appreciate the time that you do have, and appreciate the people that you're around. So some of the people that I'm around, like my wife now or other people, you know, I might not have been here for them. So I appreciate them 100 times more. And the same thing in reverse. Think of the people in your life and imagine that tomorrow they could be taken from you. Wouldn't that alter how you view them right now? Wouldn't you be a little more interested in them and appreciate them on a higher level instead of taking them for granted? So the awareness of death, which is so much repressed in our modern culture because we don't see anybody dying around us. It all occurs in hospitals where we're hidden from our view, as opposed to 100, 200 years ago where people were dying all around us in the house, etc. It's very important because we can go through life without ever thinking about it, without ever confronting it. But in fact, it is a terribly negative thing to repress that confrontation because it's the most real thing that we have to face. And facing it has all of these incredible benefits for your own personal well-being and for your relationships with other people and for your work as well.